if you go and just throw something and you just kind of dip out, close your eyes a little bit and listen to the sound and hear the smash that's going to happen, you will be completely hooked to topwater fishing at nighttime.
Hello and welcome back to the Fat Dad Fishing Show. My name is Rich Natoli, your regular host, and tonight we're going to have Stefanos from Sport Fishing Outlet. And if you don't know Steph, look, you're missing out. This is one of those, and I'm going to say this without any exaggeration, not just because he's coming on. He is one of the very few shop owners that knows what the hell he's talking about, no matter what topic you have. I mean, he's like throwing names of lures around. I spent half the time nodding, like pretending I've heard of them. He knows the lures, he knows the fish, he knows the species, freshwater, saltwater. He's both. He's both. And he'll get you on the fish too. I mean, he's one of those guys. It is the shop that I go to when I need tackle. And look, whether it's saltwater or freshwater, this is going to be a good episode for you. If you don't know him already, get to know him tonight, and you're probably going to end up going to a shop. With that said, before we jump on with Stefanos, we're going to go through the sponsors here real quick. First one is Great Bay Outfitters, the primary original sponsor of this show. Paul at Great Bay, if you're looking for anything kayak related, whether it's a new kayak, even a used kayak, Paul and Great Bay Outfitters is where you want to go. It's Radio Road in Tuckerton, New Jersey. And it's a place where you can actually get on the water and test out the kayaks before you buy them. So brand new, you can get Old Town, you can get the new Crescent and the Crescent Skiff. You can get consignment kayaks, so you can pick up an occasional Hobie there, a Wilderness, any different kind of kayak. So check them out. That's where I go. I spend way too much money there. I have way too many things that I don't need just because I try to stop by there every time I'm in the area. So Great Bay Outfitters, Radio Road in Tuckerton. Next one is Quad State Tune with Kevin Driscoll. The number is 484-633-5975. If you have a Toyota truck, so we're talking the Tacoma, the Tundra, a 4Runner, a Lexus 460 or 470, he sells the engine tunes that are going to get those engines with the improved throttle response, more horsepower, smoother shifting, and better torque. So if you're especially if you're towing anything and you have a Toyota, give a call to Kevin and see if it's something that you would benefit from. If you won't benefit from it, Kevin's just going to say, yeah, you don't need it. But if you would, he's going to talk through exactly what it'll do for you. And then the last one is me for real estate in southeastern Pennsylvania. I do specialize in residential. I am working out of the Bluebell office for Weichert Cornerstone Realtors, or Weichert Realtors Cornerstone. In the Bluebell office, also work out of Collegeville. We have locations all over the place. So if you're looking for anything, give me a call, 267-270-1145. And with that, I'm going to bring on Stefanos, and so you can see him, and I'm going to do a little bit more of an intro. Stefanos, good to see you, man.
Guys, what's going on? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's been a while that we've been talking about this.
Yeah,
and then there was a baby that was taking all of your time and energy way back when we first talked about it. You are running a shop,
and now there's another one coming, and now we're getting it in before.
Yeah, we got to take advantage. Yeah, we got to take advantage of the time that we have. So, look, everybody, if you're new to the show, one of the things that I always say is I want you to look at your local shops above and beyond all else. So on my YouTube channel, I do have some videos that have links to Amazon so that you can buy what I'm talking about. I'm telling you right now, this episode, any episode, if you ever hear something, check your local shop first. And I'll tell you right now, you want to talk to Stefanos for most of the tackle because he does stock in Pennsylvania, but you stock the full complement of fresh and saltwater all the way down from surf gear to, I think I've seen some tuna rods in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything.
From trout to tuna.
Trout to tuna. It's all
double T's.
Yeah, and Scotty wanted to be on, but he's sick. He's really sick.
Scotty.
Yeah, he said he might be in the chat. I doubt that he's going to make it on at all because he's like really sick. But yeah, he was excited about, and this is a guy that he guides saltwater in New Jersey, but he likes going to your shop. And when I was talking about you, God, this summer, he was going crazy. He's like, you got to have him on. You got to have him on. I was like, yeah, it's not that easy to coordinate sometimes. So
Yeah. No, he's awesome. He's awesome.
so he's disappointed he's not here. But yeah, so why don't we start off this way? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the shop, and then we'll just start talking any type of fishing, and anyone in the chat, if you have any questions, any topics, no matter what it is, just start putting them in the chat, and I'll do my best to pull some of those out.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically the store itself, I took over the shop a couple years ago from an old gentleman named Harry. When I first got the shop, it was just like a whole different experience. So from fishermen and die hard, however we think we're pretty die hard, you meet enough people in a fishing store there where it's a humbling experience, but you are kind of tossed in, you're learning a lot. So for me, my background was, a little different. Let's say, just the start of fishing for me was just a little different than what we're seeing nowadays. Like kids are coming in, and it's the advancements in fishing and keeping up with fishing, salt to fresh. It's a little tough in a small store, but our customers definitely make it. A lot of these things were recommended. Hey, I wish you had this bait in this color. And it kind of, the story gets built through its customers. So
Right.
that was probably the most important thing for me in getting started here. Naturally, I just love helping people, talking fishing. So that's fun. That's the fun side of things.
Yeah, I remember the store before you owned it, and it to me was more like a standard shop, right? You go in and they had what they had, and wanted to sell you what they had. And I remember right when you first opened, I went in and we had a conversation, and I said, this is the kind of stuff I'm looking for. And we had a conversation. Next thing I know, you're carrying this stuff. You're like, I think we got some in stock, but you went and you bought new, and you didn't pull it out of inventory. And you had this saltwater stuff that look, let's be honest, you can't find good saltwater stuff in Pennsylvania. You see like one little shelf with like 6 things on it. Right.
Yeah.
And that is not, and that is not what you find at sport fishing outlet. SFO is like stocked. So I will say that won me over right there. Just the first conversation, I was like, he'll never have it. But I swung in anyway. And now I just waste so much freaking time in your shop.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do. It's fun. There's Scotty. He's in.
Yeah, Scotty's in. Yeah. He's unable to talk, but
there you go.
He's able to chat. Yeah. Yeah. So the shop, do you want to, where is it? Let everyone know where it is.
I'm sorry. We went fast forward there. So we're in East Norton. So Plymouth Meeting Mall, we're on Germantown Pike. So it'll come up Norristown or East Norton, but sport fishing outlet. We just updated. We've had some social stuff for a while. It's SFO Tackle. Our website is live, brand new. So we're, fully shoppable. We're working some kinks out, but we actually, I was telling Rich right before we got on, but we made a code just for this live, basically. So it's FatDad15. So it's sfotackle.com. You can use that code, FatDad15, and it'll be a code, just to kind of share for all you guys. So we appreciate it. It's 15% off, basically. Take your pick in the shop. So I can't say
I'm going to be doing that
I'll
tonight.
get in trouble if I say certain brand names. So we'll keep it at that. But yeah, we're in a weird area. We have streams and creeks. We're Pennsylvania, but I would say the majority of people that come in are taken back by the salt. They're like, this doesn't make much sense. The people who know us, they come in, they realize that we enjoy fishing. So
right.
A lot of people who are in Jersey, a lot of us live here. There's a lot of PA. A lot of PA people who travel, I drive 2 hours to catch a tide, and I come home and people think I'm a psycho, but I'm sure I'm not alone. There's a
Right.
lot of, so we drive, Pennsylvanians don't mind. The closest lake, I have a bass boat. The closest lake to my shop is a good hour. So
Yeah.
drive an hour here, and everything takes an hour from us. So it seems a little far, but you kind of get used to it. So the store is, I would say, a lot of jigging, bottom fishing, fluke stuff. We like to target fluke. So from the boat, from land, striper, same deal. From the boat, from land, that would be, I would say, our specialty in the salt. We do dabble with some of, some tuna stuff, some popping and jigging and all that things, but that's not my forte. So I'm more of an inshore guy myself, but like I said, this place has grown on information from guys who are very good at what they do, who don't have YouTube channels or anything. They're kind of like we were talking. You got the secret squirrels of the fishing. I got a ton of those guys that come shop and we sit and do this, probably I would say 3 nights a week. I was telling Rich, if the door's slams, that means there's somebody stopping in here to do they see my truck and they want to talk fishing. So it never ends. But it's a mix, but the specialty I would say is the fluke, the striper, and our largemouth, smallmouth. Our smallmouth fishery in PA is unbelievable. So I would say the target, if somebody were to come in and, a lot of this stuff is geared more towards, smallmouth, largemouth. But we like to try to get ahead of some stuff. So the glide baits and a lot of different things like it. We've been in that game for a while. Now it's cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
I'm working on a nice glider for you, Scotty, full through wire just for the tuna. So get ready.
It's funny. We were talking today. So I was in the shop today, and for everyone, just so you know, we were talking glide baits for quite a long time and how all of a sudden they became popular, but they've always worked. And it's just amazing. But you were talking about like the secret squirrel people that they don't say things very loud, but they know what's going on.
Oh,
and so
those are the guys.
Yeah, but you're one of them. And that's the thing. Like, you're not out there broadcasting everything, but I consider, like, I talk a lot about the importance of pre-planning your trips and knowing what you're going to do. So you have your plan. And actually, we talked about this today for a little bit. You're also a big believer in having a plan and checking out the maps and the contours and all that stuff. But you're one of the ones that I go to when I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'll swing by the shop and I'll buy some stuff I don't need, and hoping that you're in the shop. But actually, the guys in the shop are the same way. Like, they know what's going on. Even the guys in the summer, the kids.
Oh yeah.
The
kids are dialed. The kids are like sponges. You get a young kid who's passionate about fishing, that cares to learn, that works for you. If you can find it, if there are any other people out there, it's hard to find. So I got lucky with the 2 youngsters that worked for me. So, but you gotta be dialed in.
Yeah.
You could buy every item in this store, every item from somewhere. I tell customers all the time, I really appreciate you came and shop with me, because you could buy it anywhere. It's very hard to be competitive in my world. So this is a world where you have to provide the service. You got to spend an extra 5 minutes talking to somebody, but typically it leads to a lot more conversations in the future. And if they come back and tell you, I just busted my PB, that's what it's all about. So, it's tough to stay competitive in our industry.
Right.
It's a brutal industry of the fishing world. As we see, companies get swallowed by companies. A guy's making something really good, then the next guy makes something similar to that, and then it never ends. It's a very competitive market. So for us, I try to sell the stuff that we know, we've used. If you can't, you've showed me stuff before, and I'm like, okay, let's bring it in. We have confidence in it. The staff and myself, I feel like we put, we try to get that in for, some people are very brand sensitive in fishing.
Yeah.
We try to, hey, this is, we've done very well. I understand, but some people can't be, I don't try to sell people. I try to just provide what's what are you going to need to do what you're doing?
Right.
I'm just
Well, I
trying
remember
to be helpful.
we went, I came in last spring and I was like, look, I got to do some fresh water because I'm pretty much off the water for salt. And I was like, I'm going to go for smallies. And I had all these things in my hands. And you kind of gave me this look and you're like, okay, let's put that back and let's come over here again. You're like, you're fishing now. And I was like, yeah. And you're like, okay, well, you don't need that.
Yeah.
And you were like setting me up with it. And then when I came back later in the summer, I forget his name, one of the younger guys, and I said, yeah, I'd really like to just try to target snakeheads, but somewhere really local. I don't have the energy to get like into the weeds anywhere. And he's like, okay. He's
Yeah,
like,
he put your radar on it.
And I saw them. I wasn't able to get a bite, but I saw them.
Yeah.
And then I'm getting reports from people. I think I saw this. I'm like, you did.
You did.
I've seen it the last 2 weeks. I've been trying to get it to bite. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the shops apart because, there are shops that I used to go to in South Jersey that are now closed. And the ones that lasted the longest had that going. And it's when they stopped with the interactions and the relationships with the clients or the customers is where they started to go downhill. Some of them it was as sad as the owner passed away.
Yeah.
And then
nobody could follow the path. It's tough. It's a tough thing because like I said, it gets brutal because it is very competitive. These guys these big companies don't mind putting stuff on, 40% off and everybody gets excited, which is exciting. I'm also a shopper before the store owner, so it excites me, but that's how a lot of these shops can't hang. It's, you end up, they're competing with us. We're buying from them. They kind of go around. We're the small guy in the picture. So for us, we need to set apart. The setting apart is us talking to the customer for another couple minutes. And for us, it is a little unique. You got a guy that comes in who is very open to, he's brand new. He wants to learn. Then there's a guy that I might see 12 times before he says, I can't catch this bass. It's in this pond.
Right.
And I'm like, I've seen you 10 times. What have you been waiting for?
Yeah, why didn't you say something?
I asked you, do you need anything? People are very, I did some in school, we did some psychology stuff, and it was how men shop and how women shop. And it was like a thing. And I do notice a woman walked in today. She looked at me. I looked at her. She said, I need a bag. I said, here's a bag. She said, I need a book bag. I said, there it is. She said, okay, is this the only one? I said, here's another. She goes, thank you so much. She knew exactly what she needed. She didn't waste, she was quick. She needed something. Men, they come in, they're not shy to ask, like, hey, I can't find this. Show me where it is,
Yeah.
Some men, it takes some time to get through. They don't want to just say, hey, dude, I might have walked by this item, but can you point me there? So
I'm one of those. I'll look
all
around
of you
for
listeners,
an hour.
just ask.
Yeah.
Just ask. Where is this thing?
You may as well. I mean, it saves time, it saves energy, and
some people like to browse, so I don't overdo. I never want to. Some people like to look at every item. I have a lot of those shoppers. I don't call them window shoppers because fishermen shop differently. A lot of guys come in just to come in to hang, so it's different from another place. Like people come in differently.
That's how I do it. I'll go in and I'll walk around the shop, and my wife always says, how long are you going to be gone? I'm like, well, I'm going to sport fishing outlet. She's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And she's like, are you buying anything? I'm like, not today.
Yeah.
So I'll go like 3 or 4 times.
There's no pressure.
But then through those 3 or 4 times in those conversations, I'll come back and I'll buy $200 worth of stuff on the next one. Right.
That can happen quick.
Yeah, I mean, but I plan it, so I know I plan it over time, so I know what I'm getting. So, okay, people need to check out your website. There is that 15% off. We are getting some questions in there that I'm going to want to hit.
We got some good stuff here.
Yeah, and we're going to bounce back and forth. Look, guys, if you have freshwater or saltwater, go ahead and throw them in there. I will say for those that are new to this, I fish freshwater. and there are certain things that I'm really good at, but I will never take the same quote unquote authoritative stance on any freshwater that I do with some saltwater. So I don't consider it to be like my expertise. So I'm going to be like,
there's no fish close to that.
No, I am.
So
if you were to put it on a scale of, 1 to 1,000,000, and I said 500 on a fluke, right? And I'm 480 on striped bass and whatever on tog, and you say, all right, what about trout? I'd say 1, even though I'm pretty good at trout.
so
Smallies.
fluke is it. Fluke is the dominator.
Yeah, it's just I feel like I have some expertise there. So I won't be chiming in as much. Like walleye. I used to fish walleye all the time. In winter walleye. All the time. But that was back when I was in college. Like, so I'm not gonna present my techniques on catching winter walleye because I haven't done it in
it's the best.
It is. I love walleye fishing. They're tough, but once you figure them out.
My brother called me 2 weeks ago. He said, "You have the heater, buddy?" I said, "Yeah, I got the heater, buddy." He said, "All right, I just want to make sure you're ready." This is like, there's not much to do right now. So if you're not, if you can't sit still, there's fishermen who are like, this is bad. They talk about, what is that? What's that when you start getting seasonal depression? Is that
what it's called? Seasonal, what is it? Affective disorder or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's getting dark out. So people start to get, well, I think there's a fishing one. I'm not sure what it's going to be called, but we can come up with a name during the show. But people start getting really antsy. There's nothing to do. They come in, they're like, man, I want to go, but my line, walleye you can catch, crappie you can catch. They eat, they're not in winter, most fish are in winter mode. So you could catch striper. 365 days of the year if you wanted to. Back bays and in the rivers, people don't really like to. There's striper guys in the river who target the spawning striper, and there's striper guys who fish the river and target the striper.
Right.
2 different types of guys here, because there's the river guys who are targeting those fish in a specific time, who are moving to migrate to spawn. But I have buddies who fish the Schuylkill all year. Send me pictures of. I have a buddy who we post his stuff. His name's Billy, but he's told me, and he's you guys have seen him on party boats probably. We post his picture all the time. He's a big fluke fisherman, tog, saltwater guy, but he lives near the Schuylkill. He said, if I could fish anywhere for forever, I'm fishing in the Schuylkill. And I was like, you're kidding me. He's like, Steph, I caught a drum, I've caught snakehead, I've caught striper, I've caught smallmouth, I've caught walleye, I've caught catfish on the same lure.
Yeah.
There's not many places you can do that. You know what I mean? There's not.
No.
You can go to lakes and do it, but it's tough. There's no current. You can't position the fish. You can't position your lure like you can. That's something we could get into. I feel like a lot of people, the river should be helpful to people presenting.
Right. Well, let's talk about that in a second. Let's hit though right now. Let's talk walleye in December. What are your tactics? What do you bring in? What are you doing?
So,
where are you looking for them? First of all,
I'm looking for Schuylkill and Delaware are just the 2 local to us. So you could pick any river system, I would say. So winter holes, I just call them winter holes. Obviously, people have names for them, but I'm looking for fast-moving water where fish typically like to come up to spawn. So where a fish would come to spawn, so you have a dam, some kind of dam system. So they come up to spawn. Those fish are getting ready for that time of year. So they start to winter in the slower, deeper pools underneath that stuff.
Yep.
So if you can find the riffle in the Delaware, where it's a riffle and you could see for 200 yards, it's a slower pool. Even if it's 6 foot of water, you could catch those walleye. Right now, if it's until it freezes, until you can't fish anymore, you could catch walleye. They'll eat a jerkbait. If you like to play the slower presentation and you want to just kind of, where it's freezing, sometimes you can't sit there and do this nonstop. You kind of have to catch your jerkbait and let it swing in the current and just twitch it and keep it. That's why I like fishing in the current. So I've always been a current person rather. So I think that's why. And the walleye's been, I would say, past 4 years, 5 years, I never thought to target them until we figured something out late in the year. And I was like, I don't think these things are going to stop eating. And then we did it until we couldn't do it anymore. And then it became a pattern, but slower stuff. So jerkbaits, something you can kill and let it just wiggle and get it in the strike zone. So if you're fishing 6-8 foot of water, like a 3-footer, 4-foot diver, like a regular suspending jerkbait. So like a husky jerk or a Lucky Craft pointer or anything that suspends. Also, a lot of people don't want to buy expensive jerkbaits. I'm the first person to tell people I sell these little dots. So you could take your floater, and I have like an 80-year-old fishing mentor. He's like dialed me into tuning things, like crazy amount of tuning. He's taken floaters and made them suspend. So if you have something that coming up too fast, you can dot it once, fish it. You'll see it go a little slower, and you can actually get it to sit there. So if you really want to get technical, I don't think it's that technical, but sometimes it makes a difference. I'm a paddletail grub jig head.
Yeah.
All day. I think if you put a 2.8 inch to a 4.8, even a 5.8, I'm fishing areas where there's gizzard shad in the water at the same time. So there's huge gizzard shad.
Yeah. So you're going a little larger profile.
I can, because you never know. We also are targeting big flathead that are in the same areas. So, and this is similar. This isn't just a Schuylkill thing. I fish more or less in the Schuylkill. And the Schuylkill, honestly, from the Delaware all the way up to the art museum, all the way up to where I'm at, which is Norristown here in Bridgeport, there's walleye all the way down to the river. So people think it's a spot thing. I really don't think it's a spot thing, because I've had customers send me pictures of walleye in places where I was like, damn, I didn't think that would winter walleye. So that's why I said earlier, I think it doesn't need to be really deep, because I've been, it's like, boom, you think you know something until you don't.
Right.
That's like most things. You're like, I figured something out until a guy catches him in 2 foot of water, and you're like, so maybe do they really need the deep water? But the 2 feet is usually near something. So December, it's cold, and you have to fish very slow. So dragging, medium action rod, light braid. Now it's tough. So I fish a super long leader if it's getting icy. Once my braid is freezing, though, I'm not going to lie. That's why I bring my heater buddy. I think that's when I usually call it. But if you get a good day where you can cast with 10-pound, 15-pound braid to a 15-pound leader, 12-pound leader, I'm not super specky, because you run out of leader when you're fishing. I tell my buddy, like, yo, cut off some line. So I'm putting on his line. So I never got crazy dialed. I know people are, but anything 10-pound to 15-pound, they're toothy. They're not going to cut your line. No, they're they got some fangs. But Kitex, Yamamoto grubs, little grubs. I'm a paddle tail guy, but I've watched guys catch them with, I catch them with Zoom flukes.
I was going to say, what about the Zoom?
I'm Zoom fluke 3-inch junior. I like to sauce my stuff, so big Procure guy. Procure sticks and just does not come off plastic. Right. It like stays on for a while.
So the Zoom flukes are what we used to catch them on in the Schuylkill. It was just the Zoom flukes,
and with a Zoom fluke.
And one of the reasons we did it was this was a long time ago. Like I was in college when we were in high school when we were doing this. One of the reasons that we used the Zoom flukes is it was so inexpensive and we'd get snagged all the time. So, you need enough weight with these rods that we had to get it far enough out there, but we didn't want them hanging on these rocks as we're fishing along these currents. So we'd had the Zoom flukes on there and they were bigger. So we had more of the weight on the plastic.
Yes.
And we used to catch some nice walleye. I mean,
yes.
I remember the first one, we had no idea what it was. Like we weren't good at fishing. Like we didn't know anything but smallmouth at that time. And we started catching these things. We're like, we didn't know what they were. We had to go home and look at the fish identification book because the internet
What is
didn't
this thing? Yeah, the
exist.
internet wasn't a thing.
It
Listen,
didn't
you said it
exist.
though.
So
You said it perfect. The light head with the big body.
yep.
I am a humongous fan. We've gotten jig heads made in here, custom for like sluggo fishing on a jetty. But
Yep.
I really feel most people, this is they I don't think there should be as much of a salt fresh divide. Like the tactics are so close. I was never dialed into fresh until this shop, and it was different because I did a lot of salt and I've spearfished and I've done all types of stuff, weird stuff in the ocean. But the fresh with the boat and the technology and learning how these fish are, moving in a lake system or something, I think it's so dialed in, but they're so similar. The only thing that's
Oh yeah.
different is that big tide, but that bait, like a Zoom fluke, the light head with the big body, it falls different, it acts different, and when you do touch and you lift, you can, and it'll hit and move.
Yeah.
I think that's what I take people to the river, and I'm like trying to teach them how to fish a Ned rig, and it's as similar as basically flicking a fluke.
Yep.
But he's like he's trying to feel 16th ounces, 15th ounce, a 20th. And I'm like, dude, stop looking, stop trying to feel something. You need to just stare at your line. That's why we use colorful braid. So there is,
Exactly.
line watch. And when, the currents kind of move in your braid. And when you see that little notch go like this, you can kind of lift the rod and it's not going bump, bump. And we do the same thing for fluke. So we use the same technique. It's like I'm doing the same thing in first day opening flounder in any back bay in New Jersey, anywhere where there's a current and I know there's a little deep water near it. Working something
Right.
light and allowing it to move when you lift it off the bottom. I think a lot of people fish way too heavy. And this
Yeah.
is like a very common, so I've had guys laugh at me when I tell them to grab a 1/4 ounce jig. And I'm like, a quarter. I didn't tell them I fished the 16th because I didn't want to freak them out. So I
Right.
skipped the 16th when they go, what do you like to do? I said, quarter. And they go,
Yeah.
oh, really that light? And I'm like, buddy, I'm fishing the 16th sometimes because I want it to just float, like perfectly come down. And then you're watching your braid just go, boom, and the fish is, a lot of guys don't even have the opportunity, which is why even Tog and stuff like that and Sheepshead, bottom sweeper and all these guys, like that's why the lighter, the better. When you talk to
Yeah.
a lot of these guys, they say, if I could fish a 1/2 ounce jig in this spot, I would smash them. But I've got the currents picked up and I just can't do it now. But if,
But you can.
it's a different technique, but I think for all species, I am on board. Light as light as you can possibly cast to feel comfortable that you don't not feel, because a lot of people just can't feel, what say me or you were feeling. So I also have noticed that I've been like, you didn't see the line, and sometimes they're not looking, sometimes they're disinterested in looking. So that guy might need to fish a whopper plopper. So
Yeah.
now I just redirect the guy to, maybe you're not a net rig guy. Let's get you casting and reeling a whopper plopper on the skook, or for walleye, casting a swim bait. And instead of them playing with the bottom, I'll tell that customer, hit the bottom, crank it up once, and then just go slow so he can keep himself off of the bottom. The guy that's hitting the rocks and getting snagged is catching more fish.
Right.
Walleye. We're talking straight walleye.
Right. Right.
That guy's catching more fish in this time of year, I would say. At least for
Yeah, it's kind of similar. People are saying if you're not getting snagged, you're not togging. Right. I mean, you gotta be in that zone where you're going to be hanging up a little bit, but
yeah. And
this is
the slow
it's where the
fall
time
will
on the
tell you
water
if you're
matters.
eating too. Like,
Yeah.
if you can hit them, if you get one bite and it's on the drop, you can now assume you don't need to play the bottom game tonight. It's
Right.
literally like that. Like you could just assume that one bite, I caught my first walleye in December or January or February, best time, February. You catch one on the fall, you can start reeling your paddle tail. It's like just like that. And it's not me. This is like I've met a guy that says, dude, you need to stop thinking and let the fish just realize what was different about the bite and let the fish tell you. And it for a walleye, it's just like that. Or for a striper, when you get that thump in certain drift where you're next to a bridge and you put a half ounce on and it's that perfect sweep and you're getting thumped, and then you put on a heavier one and you miss that. It's the same. So for me, if they're not eating here, they're always on the bottom. So I like to play on the bottom.
Yeah.
With the walleye, I start there, and I really won't go off of that unless I get smashed on the way down, and I'm like, there's something that's going on. They might be looking up right now. They might be feeding on something. So there's a lot of variance. The moon does freak out walleye too. So I've had great nights with like pitch darkness. So I know people who cross fish on a full moon.
Yeah.
I am not a cross fish on a full moon guy, and I'll admit it. Like I'm not the guy. I was out on a super moon. No, that never worked for me.
No,
no. It's just I don't know what it is. So, I don't know if you've had good moon days or.
So look, saltwater. I like the new and the full moons, not for the light, but for the tidal flow. But one of the things that people have to keep in mind for saltwater is it's the tidal flow. So those moons bring more flow, which means your great spot is probably, or not probably, but there's a decent chance that the spot that you picked, because it always does well on the outgoing, could be blown out because of the extra tidal flow. You're getting an extra foot of water traveling out there. So you got to move to the edges of that spot now, or find something that has a little less flow, a little bit of a current break.
That makes sense.
But I do believe in the whole salooner thing. I mean,
it's
real
a thing. Oh no, I'm not disregarding. It's real. It's super real. I mean, hunters will like deer act. Everything acts different. We act different during full moons. So I know there's some going on. Personally, I haven't figured out, like for bass specifically. I haven't figured out it has. I've never hit it the right way. But I've done really well nighttime fishing when it is pure darkness.
So let's talk about nighttime, because I mentioned nighttime. To me, again, mostly saltwater. That is the time that I like to fish the most. I do better at nighttime. Saltwater, I'll just throw it in there. Freshwater as well. I actually do better fishing at night, regardless. What's your thought on that? Do you think that holds true?
I think you could catch them. I think whatever time is your window to fish, you could catch fish. I know that's a broad thing, but whatever gets you, like if you have a family and people are like, oh man, I don't have time. We could sit down and I can carve out 30-minute window. You could stop at the creek and get your fix, bend the rod. Some people, we also talk about this, not this place, but fishing. Fishing is a lot more than, we are super passionate and we get into it and we're competitive sometimes. But I've had guys tell me like this fishing is like save them. This is very therapeutic for people. So some people they overthink and they're like, I can't just stop and fish because I don't have the time. But, I'm a nighttime guy because my schedule is just, it worked out that way. And I also everybody says you're never there. I'm a nighttime guy. I go for nighttime. I'm a nighttime fisherman in general. I've always liked to target striper at night. I've caught some really big fluke at night. My brother's caught some tons of big fish at nighttime. So I like night also because it's just less busy.
Yeah.
So I mean, the freshwater, I would say there's a time to largemouth and smallmouth fish at night. I would say saltwater primarily. I will very rarely, you will never see me fishing unless a buddy invites me on his boat during the day. I'm almost never striper fishing a day, maybe once or twice during the fall, but I just would rather go out and do it at night.
Yeah.
Try to pick out my fish. I don't need to be on a blitz. Everybody should experience one of them blitzes on the beach. So I've been blessed enough to walk on the beach and it rain hellfire with birds down, and you're like, oh my God, this is what fall fishing is about. But everybody should experience it. But my piece is at nighttime. So
yeah. So here's a comment that kind of goes up on that.
My wife's on here. I want to thank my wife because she's the best. And I could never fish. I could never fish so much if I didn't have a great wife.
Yeah, well, yeah, me too. My wife actually tells me it's about time to just get on the water.
Shout out, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like,
but here you go.
Where are you going? Are you going to be late? I said, honey, it's 10 p.m. I'm leaving now. What do you mean late? Yeah. Am I going to be late? It is late.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I always used to get the, I go to work and then I'd bring the kayak and I'd just go down afterwards and I'm hitting the water at 11 at night, solo in a kayak. And she's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow, I guess.
It's a peace thing. It's hard to understand, but it is a peace thing. It's hard to think about much else when you're on the beach or you're on a lake and it's like just nothing,
Yeah.
By the way, anybody who fishes for largemouth and you just want to, and you've never tried to go at nighttime to a body of water, a pond, a lake, the river, you're going to end up catching a smallie rather than a largemouth. Let's say most rivers around here. But if you haven't tried throwing a wake bait or a topwater, a prop bait, you take your pick, name your flavor. There's so many different ways. But if you go and just throw something and you just kind of dip out, close your eyes a little bit and listen to the sound and hear the smash that's going to happen, you will be completely hooked to topwater fishing at nighttime.
It's a lot of people think like it's topwater is not a nighttime thing, but it's actually, hold on. This has never happened. I actually need to pull myself off camera for like 2 minutes. I lost power in an outlet and now my laptop is about dead.
You're losing power. I'm going to keep them working. Can I keep this thing on or we're not allowed?
You stay right where you are. I will be right back.
I'll engage some of these people here. I got some comments here.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just going to pull myself off. I will be right back.
He's coming
it's your
back,
show,
y'all.
Steph. It's your show, man. Start selling.
No, dude. I don't got enough products. Let me get some stuff. Guys, I'll
be right back.
Check it out.
There you go. It's $1,200. I checked it out today. I'll be right back.
There we go. It'll drop your Scotty. Hold on. He's going to like this. He can drop his tuna baits right on the tuna's head. All right. Rich will be back. He'll be back on here. Let's see if we have anything else we need to answer. You're very welcome. Walleye. Pink Zoom Fluke will produce. Pink Zoom Fluke should be like the goat of goats. Like the goat. So it is. I'm with you. So I think if unfortunately, if I didn't have, lots of customers who want every color, but then they grab the right colors, it's hard to keep track of all these colors, guys. It very much is. Let's see. Fell in love with night fishing. There we go. T-Swift. What else we got going on here? Jason's on here. Largemouth. Let's talk some largemouth. What do we want to talk about? We want to talk about reservoir fishing. Oh, he's back.
I'm back. I told you to be quick. Yeah, I got it. I got it back up power.
Let's see. Green Spec Fluke put me on my first ever largemouth. My guy. We got a largemouth guy in here. He said, "What we got? Never steer."
Yeah, I can put it up on the screen.
You're not straying away from anything. I would say the white has got to be up there. That's why I don't like to classify. There really is no favorite. I'm a profile guy. Nothing's really happened while you were gone here, Rich. Let me fill you in. Nothing much. Yeah. We're just talking. We're talking flukes.
Well, that's good.
I said Pink Zoom needs to be the goat, and then we got a white goat, but there is no. It should be the Zoom. The Zoom profile is the goat.
Yeah, and It's interesting. We had a little bit of this conversation in the shop before about, you have to use this, the no live bait needed is the way to go. And it has to be this color. Really, when it comes down to it, is you just need something with some good action. I personally go white first, right?
I
And I
mean,
also go pink.
100%.
But pink zooms are among the cheapest that you can get. And they like, I still have some from when my grandfather was alive, and he died, I think, in like 1996. I still have some left over from him, and I still catch on them.
And they're still just as soft.
They are. Oh, they're perfect. I'm down to the last bag. Yeah.
A lot of these got a lot of plastisols changed. A lot of plastics changed. So, I mean, I don't think I feel it's happened once or twice where like the color has like, I've been like, my mind was just like, how is this working? And this thing, which is so close, isn't working. But
school bus. That's how I am with school bus. I refuse
it's
to fish
wild,
it.
like you could be next to somebody and I've like handed my buddies baits and say I wasn't doing good or he was doing better than me. Like I was fishing next to my buddy John. Where me and you crappie fished that one time we went out. I took him there. We're fishing these jerk baits. Same thing. Same dots. This is my guy. Put the dots. He's smacking them. I said, dude, this is insane. He said, what? You want to take this one? I said, John, I'll take that right now and I'll catch one on this cast. And he takes it off. I put it on. And he said, you got to be kidding me. I said, come on, dude. I'm sitting there. I'm not crazy. He was trying to give me the whole breakdown. He said, Steph, don't reel so fast. I said, John, don't give me a lesson right now. No way. Give me that lure. But it's wild. Like, that happens.
It can happen.
And then you start over. That's when fishing starts to get like you're in your own head when you don't need to be, but it happens naturally. Because how can you not think, how's this guy sitting next to me jigging for fluke? I'm watching his hand. I'm watching his, he's just doing this. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not catching him.
Yeah.
That guy could have 10-pound lighter braid.
It could be anything.
Think I think it's always something else. I'm always in something else guy. I don't ever, I think there's a lot of variants that happen, but color, I think, is a never ending, like, we'll have everybody on here will have a different, favorite color. Mm-hmm. And I think they should. I never try to talk people out of colors. Like if somebody's like, my people will tell you, I ask people a lot, what is your confidence? Like, hey, I'm picking out a new surf rod. I said, well, what is your confidence? Like what are you confident in? And they look at me and I'm like, do you like throwing an SP minnow or are you throwing a bucktail? Do you like
That's the best question.
I think that's the only question. Like, what do you love? Like, what's your technique? Like, dude, I can't stand throwing a pencil popper because my shoulder's dead at the end of the day. I don't want to sit and, I'm like, okay, well, let's avoid that technique completely. And we can get something where you can sit and you're not working your shoulder. So I'm a big proponent in the tool. Like I cook a lot at home. The tools matter. Like if your confidence is in something, you get your tool, like spend your money. I tell people all the time, like, you don't need to have expensive gear. A guy like me, just so everybody's aware here, the margins are the same on a $20 reel than they are on a bigger one. It stretches. So for us, it's like I want you in the right stuff. So whatever your confidence is, you can do it with a $40 reel.
Yep.
Does it feel super awesome when you hold a twin power in your hand and you're jigging for flounder? I will tell you, there is no better feeling. Right. But that's like, you don't need it. But, people, I have that debate all the time. Like, I don't need it. I say, well, I don't need anything then. I don't need a phone. Stick me in an island somewhere like we were talking about being caveman, throw me in the woods.
There's a difference, right? Like, you may not need it, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have it.
100%. So
I
whatever your flavor is, basically. Yeah,
I go with the less expensive stuff typically. I will also stick with pen reels whenever possible, just because that's what I was brought up on. That's what I like. I
absolutely
I love pen. Absolutely. And but that doesn't mean that, my Stratic that I had for God, over a decade, that was my favorite reel ever. So my Stratic.
That's the case right there, man.
I know. I was looking at that case today.
That's the one.
Yeah. So, but
we are a little Shimano heavy in here. We have a little bias.
Yeah.
Myself.
Well, you also had some nice pens right in front of you on that table on the right.
Yes, there is.
The Fathoms. I was looking at the Fathom today.
I sold 2 squall right after you left. I had a buddy come in. He needed a saltwater bait caster for fluke.
Yeah.
So low profile squall Fathom,
Squall 200, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. That's what I have. The Squall 200.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not I think that asking. That's why I try to just get right into what do you like to do? And then they could say, hey, I have a rod that does this. Well, let's not get the same thing, unless, I'm big on that too. Like, hey, your rod is so close to that technique. Have you thought, let's go with for fluke, the bottom fishing guy, like a party boat guy, like even in my couple years here, the transition from a boat rod, like a conventional to the low pro, the low profile reels, it's like you have full control right here. The button, you're in a hole, you're like, I'm down, I'm back. You have full control. The transition from little rod, light line, lighter reels, putting a rod that weighs nothing for a guy and saying, yo, you can hang 10 ounces on this thing. And they're like, I got guys like, what? I've bent rods in half for dudes, and they're like, this is crazy. I'm like, yeah, it's technology is just, you no longer need the meat stick. The meat stick is awesome, but the meat stick can now be super sensitive.
Right.
And cost, you don't need to go crazy. I'll tell you right now, like the Jigging World line, we were kind of like in the beginning, I didn't want to get into Jigging World. I met Mike, the owner. He's a super nice guy, but he said, listen, I have the price points. And I was like, this makes sense for me. Like for me, it's simple. $100 rod for a good inshore saltwater rod that you could catch potentially. I've put like 40, 30-pound tarpon in Mexico on these rods. I've put big striper on them. I put bonefish on them, a small fish. It's sensitive enough to catch a bonefish with a bottom sweeper on a sandy beach in Mexico. And then I was on the other side catching a tarpon with a paddletail. Right. The same rod for $100. So you can do it. You don't need to go crazy, but he provides the $100. And then here, you want to treat yourself. Here's titanium, $300. But the specs are all the same. So somebody who doesn't want to drop that, like there's a rod for everybody. So I try to, keep it, we unfortunately, I can't carry everything that's down the street. So like say there's Dick's and Walmart's, people will come and ask me for ugly sticks and like tons of that type of stuff. Unfortunately for me, I would actually like to carry ugly sticks, but there's 50,000 of them down the street. So it's tough for us to do everything being a small shop. So that's why we just try to dial it in and keep it to what we know and what our people, I can't possibly fish for everything. I wish,
I had to jump in and make a comment on the ugly sticks because I hate them. And it's not, so I own ugly sticks actually, and I use them. However, I hate them because they are the biggest reason that people buy the wrong rods. And it's because they think, so many new people to fishing think the most important thing is that you can't break it.
Yes.
Now, you can break an ugly stick, but
spot on.
It's tough to break an ugly stick. And the bad thing about it is the action on those rods is not ideal for the vast majority of fishing styles that are out there. Like you shouldn't be using these noodle ugly sticks when you're fishing topwater, but people do because they can't break it. It's like, well, yeah, but you also can't set the hook fast.
Yeah.
Right. There's too much travel in the tip of that rod. And that's the only reason I hate them. So I love that you don't carry them because it doesn't make sense for you to carry them because you're not Dick's with some guy who's never fished saying, it's on sale for $30.
Well, listen, I get some guys. So I try to tend to as much as I can. So I typically will bring in catfish models. Sure. So a catfish model, and it's sold to the catfish guy that that thing's going to fall down in the river 19 times a night.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay with it, but I get exactly what you're saying. It's funny you said that, but actions on rods. So when people stopped using bait and they started to use a jig for flounder. So when the transition from, by the way, nothing's going to ever beat a live, big old live killie on a slip, loosely swimming in the backwater.
Yeah.
Like it's a treat, a delicacy that it's never going to fail. We like to do it with 3-inch Z2s and Z-Man little jerk shads. And like, I like using all types of stuff. But when we went from bait to fishing a jig, it changed completely the way that we all looked at these rods. Because now when you're doing this and you have a stiffer rod and it's a medium extra fast or medium fast or a medium moderate, that's when I'll tell you right now, just a real quick backtrack from salt to fresh. When I got dialed in fresh, it took the whole salt thing to a whole heightened level.
Yeah.
So the freshwater people are overly dialed in. Oh, I can't do it unless I have this specific rod. But when you take little pieces from all these guys who were like ultra dialed, you're like, damn, he's actually like, when I'm snapping a fluke jig, I need it responding.
Yes.
So if you have a soft rod, it is not
moving.
You're shaking your line. So technically speaking, you're moving your teaser. You're vibrating your teaser.
Yeah.
So you don't want it to you need it to pick up line, and then when you need to set it, it needs to go.
Yes.
When you're bait fishing, no. So a lot of people. So the ugly stick was the guy, the minnow squid guy.
Yes,
which is nothing wrong with it, but that's the rod that you need to say, "Hey Jimmy, your rod's been over, and it's doubled down." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
a lot of people, like, what people don't realize is they see, and you see this on the water all the time, saltwater. You look over and you see everyone doing the Skinner fast jig, but you're looking at the rod and you're like, bait's not moving. If you've ever touched a Skinner dark matter fluke rod, it is stiff at the tip. It is stiff enough to move those 3-ounce bucktails that he's using out in Long Island Sound. But people are doing it. People are jigging it, and it's like, it's not moving, dude. I've been told the brands that I don't carry, I'm not allowed to talk negative about them, but I don't carry dark matter either. So, well, for whatever, but the point is, the reason that he's able to do that rapid jigging is because the rod is made for it, right? Like, it's when he's actually moving his wrists like that, like this, for people that are watching, it's actually moving the lure. Yes. But if you take most rods don't do that. So let's say you use a 1-ounce bucktail normally. I typically use a 1 ounce, 3/4 or 1 ounce. If you take it and you put it in the water and you do that and it's not moving, your arm's moving, but the thing's not moving, you don't have enough backbone. It's not strong enough. So you're just like, you're shaking slack. You're shaking. Exactly. You're just literally your line vibrating, which, listen, sometimes that might set off that might be how they want it, but they're not meaning to do that, which it's not that wasn't the reason they were trying, to do that thing. There's a lot of Jigging World fans here. Night Ranger. Yeah. There's Nexus. I'm telling you, man, these guys, they know what those guys know what they're doing. I got a whole new line of rods, a Shogun. I just placed an order today. They'll be here, I believe, in a couple weeks, but those rods from 100 price point up. And that's another thing. If anybody ever has, when they come in here, obviously it's much easier to see these rods you put them down, you can kind of feel the actions, but some techniques you need the soft, moderate that's another reason I ask people, hey, are you a gulp guy or are you a bait guy? Because a bait guy can fish a moderate. He can have that rod that just like loads over and allows the fish to just be on. It's the same guy that throws crankbait in the smallmouth world. So when you're reeling in a rattle trap or a crankbait and it's and you're reeling and that fish eats it, you're going this way fast. Mm-hmm.
You're going one way and the fish is eating it going the other way. If that rod is not a moderate, the odds of you losing that fish or them hooks now moving in the fish's mouth is very, very likely. So you need the rod to just take it.
Right.
Same deal with striper. There's ideal rods, but you don't need to dial it in that much for striper. Like a medium heavy fast, you can go to work. Like, if you're on a boat, like a couple guys said, Night Ranger, Nexus, they're 2 to 6 ounce rod. I tell everybody, like, you can't beat that rod. So you can put a 1 ounce tog jig on it and go catch a 12-pound tog with it. And then you can also put a 5 ounce spook and throw it for Boston School of Striper. So I like diverse rods.
Right.
I think it makes it easier for me to tell a customer, like, dude, it's not one thing. You could really do 15 things with this rod if you wanted to. So when I got introduced to the Jigging World line, for me, they made it very easy to say, hey, guys, this is the rods, 3 price points. They're all badass rods. So it's like you can't lose. If you want to spend extra money on yourself, treat yourself. If you don't, this will do the job just as good. So I try.
I do use those. I use universal, what I consider universal. But the important thing is I know what they can and cannot do well. So it, like the one rod that I use the most that's not a custom, I know what the action is and how, if I'm going to fish for fluke, I know what I can and can't do, and I adjust my approach. I know for striped bass what I can and cannot throw. And if I insist on throwing it, I know that I have to change everything.
Yes.
Right. So you can get some diversity of species on these rods if you know what you're doing and you recognize it, and you have to overcome that though. It's now up to you, because the equipment is made to do certain things. And if it's not going to, and you still need it to do those things, you have to do that. And in a lot of cases it can put extra strain on you. I mean, your elbow could be crushed by the end of the day, or your shoulder, if it doesn't have the backbone to toss it the way that you want. I want to bring this question up.
That after the fact. By the way, the Magic Tail inshore rod is unbelievable rod. I fish 2 of them currently. I had those before Jigging World came in. So Jigging World, unfortunately, replaced some stuff, but I am bringing in some of Dante's rods this year again. So you guys will see some more Magic Tail in the store.
Yeah, I want to check those out. I'm just going to bring this. This is actually a question for me, but from KB.
Size for on a yak?
Yeah, so there's 2 things here. There's what kind of fishing are you going to do, but I think what you're asking is how long, and I think actually Benji Crabbing and Fishing answered it. The number one consideration when you're fishing saltwater in a kayak is how long does it need to be to get around the bow of your kayak. So when a fish pulls you side to side and you have a drive system, you don't want to hit that drive system. You want to be able to get the line deep and then around the front. So I don't fish. Benji's fish is a 7.3 minimum. I fish 7.6 minimum. So I just find it's easier. I can stay in the seat and just shift forward, reach all the way out, get it around the front.
That's a great tip. I didn't consider the swing.
Yeah,
I've only done it a couple times on a kayak for like bluefish and stuff, and it was what you're saying. That's why I was in ooh-ha moment that you just said that.
Yeah, and it can be
what I was trying to do.
It can be rough. I mean, the biggest thing is the question is for fluke. Well, you might not just catch flukes, so you need to have something that's going to hang up, handle up to those larger sharks that come in. You could have a 5-foot shark, brown shark on that. You can have a 36-inch bluefish. You can have a 40-inch striped bass, all in the same areas. You can have a 30-inch weak fish. So something that can pull that drag. And I have seen people try to get around the front and they blame it on the rod. Well, the rod broke because you allowed it to get hung and you tried to swing it around the front and the line got caught on the front, something up front. So that's the number one thing. As far as the action, I go with a moderate fast and a medium heavy. Again, medium heavy simply because the brands that I use, that's the right weight. There's no standard. But medium heavy because I use it for multiple things. So I want to be able to catch those stripers.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something about this is why my rod broke, or this is why I lost the fish.
Yeah.
I always wished I had like a little a little recorder. So when somebody came in and said, dude, I lost this fish, and before he started, I could just click. And if I could just make a log of all the things. I can't tell you the last time, and I've lost some fish, lots of fish, but I literally see this as this is a part of this game that we're playing. This is not a like you're like if we go down to the primitive time, like we're hunting this fish to take it out of the water.
Yeah.
It's a part of the process. You might not ever know why you lost that fish. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be that fish was going to come home with you.
Right.
You know, like I have
I
never record stuff. I use my friend's jet ski. I'm in the back of Brigantine, ripping around a jet ski like a maniac with a fluke rod, a cooler.
Yep.
I caught probably one of my biggest fluke in the back bay in like 6 foot of water, drifting where I don't normally drift on a sandy old gulp, which by the way, come get your gulp here. It's cheaper than down the shore.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
That's where I get it.
Sandy old gulp teaser. I grab this fish. I net him. Super excited. I never record. I said, let me take my phone and stick it here. Stick it on the dash. I get the grippers. By the way, I won't ever do that again. I get the grippers and I go like this and it goes straight in the water and it was just gone.
Yeah.
I could have sat, let me grab these grippers that I love actually. So I sell hundreds of these.
Yep.
You know, it happens.
That's what I use.
So I can't tell you, 10 out of 10 customers will come to the store and tell me I'll never buy this again. And they go and they'll spend $300 on a grip because they somehow just can't understand or fathom that it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
That fish was going in. I could have my phone, that I really believe that, like this stuff happens. We lose. I don't care how much here we lose fish,
it happens.
We all do it.
And when it's not your fish, it's hilarious. When somebody else.
When people saw the video, they were like, "Why did you post?" I said, "No, I don't want to post that."
Yeah,
it's horrible. It was horrible.
I'm trying to look at some of these comments. I don't know what some of these are.
Let's see.
Yeah, okay. It's tough to read some of these from the distance that I am. But.
No, my buddy, I think somebody was on here talking some largemouth stuff, but I know you got a lot of salty customers here.
Yeah, well, so we're actually even over our hour. I did want to ask you, you fish all year, and one of the things that you're fluke fishing. So I'll just tell everybody, when I'm talking to anybody and I'm thinking about fluke fishing from shore, you're actually the first person I talk to because you've got it down, and you'll always be like, did you ever try this spot? Yeah. And it's like, you don't tell me the specific where to get. Well, you have, but
yeah, you're in the circle. There is a circle, y'all. You got to shop here. Get in it.
But you'll describe a spot. And, so fluke, I'd like to talk to you about fluke when it's in season, right? Like we don't need to talk about fluke right now.
Yeah, yeah, we can. But like I was saying, I think land-based fishing, I've taken, I would say 4 or 5 customers, not personally, but like I've taken their fishing from land experience from last 2 years previous, let's call it. They've gotten 2 seasons to like, hey, I'm actually putting in what you're saying. I also don't, I was never this way. I talk to people. Like I learn from everybody. I try to learn. Fishing is like never, you can learn a little technique from somebody who's doing the same thing as you, but is just doing something different that you might not know. So I'm a student. Some people I will open the maps and show them it all. And I say, listen, you just got to you got to go walk. You got to put in the time. You got to row the jig. You got to feel it. If you're not feeling it, Let's talk about what else is going on. Is it the current, that time, write down some notes, make some notes, make a logbook. But I would say when people figure it out that they could catch more, I don't want to say more keepers. When you could catch your limit just as good as a guy on a boat or a kayak with confidence from foot, it changes the game.
Yeah.
You can, say you can't take the yak all day and it's a thing. And you're like, I only got 2 hours. You can dial it in like that. You could have a fluke spot that's that dialed.
Yeah.
And that takes time. So that's not something you can learn. Even if you made a how-to and you showed somebody, still, they would still go to that spot and they would not be productive a day or two, and they wouldn't give it the time of day. That's
right, you got to learn it.
It needs to be time spent on a spot. Even if your buddy has told you everything about it, you still have to feel the growing pains. You have to go do it. I try to tell people that all the time. Like, I can tell you where to go, bud, but I'm not helping you.
So Steph, I've been with people who said, "Oh, we're going to my spots today," and we go to their spots and they outfish me, and I'm like, I'm literally 3 feet from you, and they're bailing the fish and they're fishing it different, And yeah. I don't know what they're doing differently, but they're doing it differently, and vice versa. I've had that happen. 100%. I had that happen in a tournament. I was like, well, I want to fish this spot. And there were 5 of us literally within a couple feet of each other. And I was the only one catching because they had never been there, and it looked like we were literally coming around this point in a line. And I was not the first and I was not the last. And I was catching some fish. So, I mean, there is something to that. Before we go, I do want to go back. First of all,
4 hours. We got tons.
Yeah, let's again. So first of all,
locking grips. I do have locking grips, by the way.
Those Rapalo's lock.
Yeah, no. Well, they do, but I think he was talking about this guy, like
oh yeah.
Grippy. This got a little scale on there.
Yeah, that's too highfalutin for me, man.
I agree.
I tend to drop stuff in the water.
I like this one. Undersized rods and oversized fish. Who doesn't love that situation? Wait, so listen, you tell me this. So this is just a quick story. You've seen me with customers. I'm trying to be as friendly as possible. I had somebody kept asking me, I don't deem any question silly, but after like 3 or 4, some sillies, I typically will be like, well, what, I eventually will say, like, listen, what are we getting here? So I had a young man, he kept asking me and the wrong questions. And I said simply, listen, let's backtrack. Ask me some questions that's going to help you catch these fish that you're He kept saying, well, how big of a fish can I catch with this rod?
Right.
How big of a fish can I catch? And I said, well, you or me?
Right.
And then
there's difference.
Somebody behind, one of my jokesters that's always hanging out, the shop couches, I call them. By the way, if anybody shops here, we have 3, 4 people. They are not employees. So just because they're hanging out, that doesn't mean they work here. The couch, they're like the couches in the store. So this guy shoots out and he was like, you're such a, I was like, I don't think that was that mean. I'm being serious. Like, so the question is, whoever's holding that rod, if the situation allows you, once again, the situation allows you to land this fish. I went to the back bay with like little smallmouth stuff on a cinder worm bite where I could not get a striper. They were slurping 1-inch cinder worms off the surface, like slurping. This is where it helps to be a crazy person who has salt and freshwater stuff in their truck. So I ran to my truck and I get a 6-8 light action with 10-pound line and like 8-pound fluoro. And I get a smallmouth, little tiny Ned rig, and I strip the Ned rig in half and slice it. So it's literally a thin floating worm. And I put a tiny, like 16th ounce jig head, wacky style.
Yeah.
And I literally floated it into the lights, and it was like,
you got to be kidding me. All right, so
That's it.
go back.
Adapt.
You need to go
Adapt
back
is
and
fun.
watch the episode I did with Skinner this summer, because we talked about the striped bass cinder worm and how to catch him. And he has an interesting tactic. He thought it was easy to catch him during cinder worm hatches, and I never could.
With the
So
right gear.
he fishes them differently than you would think. He's not matching that hatch. You got to watch it.
Doing something completely different. I like it.
He does something completely different. I will say this also. You sold me about 4 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago. I went in and I said, "Look, I dropped a combo overboard. I need something really inexpensive." And you sold me. You're like, "This is really cheap, but you'll probably be able to, get by with it until you get your real rods." And I bought the Penn Squadron combo that you had. It was like $39.
Yep.
Right, the rod. I ended up catching one of those butterfly rays, 6 feet across on a $39. It was only 14 feet of water. It took over 45 minutes to get it up 14 feet. But it's to your point, like if you know the gear and you know how to do it, you can do it.
I think situational, like if you're near a piling and you have a big fish on, that's what I mean by, like, if the situation presents that you can do it, you're on this open water. Yep. If you're open water fishing, the answer to that question is, like I said, my growing up fishing was a little different. So like my parents used to send us to Greece. It was cheaper than daycare. Send me and my brother over there. My dad's family lives on the water, not with a lot of money, but we had the ocean. So we were like, we fished like animals every day. That's what we ate. If we didn't go fishing, we weren't snacking. We've caught octopus. I used to dive for octopus and do all types of stuff like that. But my grandfather, we've handlined big fish. Like I grew up on a little whaler. He would take me out and we've had to throw big fish overboard in storms thinking we were going to die in the boat. Because it was like a little whaler with a 40 and we're like in the Mediterranean. But we put 60 and 80 pound tuna on the back of his boat, 100 pound on the hand lines.
Yep.
So when guys talk tackle, when people talk gear failure, it's a little tough for me because I'm like, dude, our gear is unbelievable.
Compared to what it used to be.
Like literally, we could drop a hand line back there, and I could we could put a sailfish on the boat. And this isn't like we could do this if I wanted to take somebody from this chat and we could catch a tuna on a hand line, a 60 pound, 50, 60. It's not. It's a technique thing. It all is a technique thing. Yeah. Just like the line comes out of the barrel or the line's coming off your spool, whether it's too loose or too tight is on the captain of the vessel. So it's like if your drag isn't ready when that fish goes and takes off, so it's always us. I very rarely blame my tackle, but you could catch huge fish with small gear. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it is,
you said, you're destroyed after. How messed up was this when you were done with that ray?
I wasn't done with the ray. I was done with the day. I was done. It totally played me out. 14 feet of water.
Do you have tog rods? We absolutely have tog rods. I got tog rods, tog combos.
Well, okay. Why don't you give the website one more time?
Yep. So the website is, well, hold on. I think I got Rob. Rob is actually in here answering for people. My guy. Just so you know, Rob Zorn, my guy. The big bald man. He's in the behind the scenes for me, the front man. So he's back here. He's responding to all of you guys. So this is great.
Well, let's put it on the audio. So the hours are Monday from 10 to 6.
Absolutely.
Tuesday.
So Monday. Yep. Basically 10 to 6 is Monday only. So from 8 to 6 during the week, Fridays and Saturdays we're here till 8. Sundays we're here till 4. So Sundays are a little shorter day. Those have been our hours for a while. It's very likely I could do something different in February, but for right now, we're 7 days a week. Call the store if you're coming from far away or if you're not sure, call the store just to make sure. But usually somebody will be here on our business hours. Also on Google, if somebody types in Sport Fishing Outlet, it will pop up right away. What else? So the website is sfotackle.com. Like we said earlier, there's a Fat Dad code. So Fat Dad 15, basically load the cart, Fat Dad 15 at checkout. You're getting 15% off that order. And you're also going to get like a bonus. They'll send you an email after. And like I said, we've had a bunch of orders on it. We're just trying to, like I was telling you guys earlier, this is a competitive market. So I never really thought I was going to be, pushing for online sales, but unfortunately this is 2026 almost. So we need to be in the game. So we are now in the game. So you can now shop your gulp. A lot of people have also been ordering on our website and picking up. So there's guys who have they can't spend an hour. They already know what they need. So when they get here, I got a little baggie. It's already ready to go. There's guys that come on lunch break. They come in picking up an order. So you can actually order for pickup. Any of these promos, I'll be running promos on our social stuff a lot moving forward. But you guys, for this specifically, we put the Fat Dad code on the website. So it is
and just as a heads up, I'm not making anything on that, guys. That's what
Stefanos
is doing for you guys.
Yes, just to throw this out there, I don't pay any of the guys who support us. Let's say I give them love in the store. So like all of anybody who you see ever tag our store, I mean, this is as organic as it gets. I'm a small shop. I can't give somebody 20 grand to advertise for me. Plus it's inorganic. So I just don't, I like people like, your viewers, they know you, they trust you, which means they at least know good people. So for me, it's good to find good people in the fishing community. So like I said, we can't do what we do without all the customers that come in our shop. So I always avoided YouTube and making channels because I always felt these customers come into our store, they should really be getting the juice, let's say, all the way squeezed. Right. So I never got into the teaching and stuff like that, but we are looking forward to, we just got our YouTube channel up. So you'll be seeing some stuff in the store. So we're starting to do just some basic, if somebody has any questions and they want to see a video, we'll be in touch for the next one of our little podcasts here. So, but that's coming soon. So,
and the last thing before we go, I'm going to just mention, we were going to do another tog trip for the channel. I'm not able to do that. It's just not in the cards the way that the weekends are working out. And the good news is the weekend that we were going to do it, January 9th to 11th, that time frame, that's the Philadelphia Fishing Show in Oaks. And you've got to, when you go in there, I don't know if you're in the same spot or not.
We are right there.
Okay. So you walk in
first entrance.
Yeah, you're going to see Jim Hutchinson Jr. right in front of you with the Fisherman magazine, and almost right next to him, you're going to see 8 booths together, and that's sport fishing out. That's where you're going to see Stefanos and all his guys with all of the stuff.
The crew.
Yeah, look, it's a fun show to go to, but go in and say hi, and you'll have those same conversations that they have in the shop there, and you'll get to meet a lot of people that are in the region. Now this draws from a pretty good distance, but you'll be able to meet other people in the region that are fishing as well, and get some good deals.
It's a great show. So the 9th through the 11th, we'll have, I don't know if you remember, I mean, I'm not sure if you made it last year, but at the end of our booth, there's a guy with a line, like a fighting station. So you could put on like tuna. You want to catch a tuna? I'll tell you right now, it is so freaky realistic. The fish make runs just like the real game fish. Yeah. They have like Grand Trevally and Jack Trevallies on there, and you can sit and fight a fish, but it's pretty cool. I thought it was a little silly at first, and I didn't realize the line was like, all the way past our booth, because we put it at the end of our booth.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a good show. It's a lot of fun. They moved the date. So January 9, 10, 11. And you can't miss us. So we're right when you walk in. I'll be giving out coupons for the store there. For us, it's more marketing and just to show some some of what we have here. Obviously I can't bring the store, so you guys gonna have to stop by the shop if you have.
It's worth going in. It's just one of those places you just want to go.
And here, let me show them your favorite hat.
Oh yeah,
your favorite hat.
I should have bought it today. Yeah, I'm buying that.
Come on, I owe you a hat.
I'm going to swing in this week and buy it.
And my beautiful wife designed this one.
Yeah,
fan favorite,
the most popular one.
That's the blue-eyed gal hat.
Yeah, I'm probably going to swing in tomorrow if I can get time between meetings. The good news, everybody, for full disclosure, it's only 10 minutes from my office, so I could swing in whenever I want, and it's tough to resist going in too often, but. Yeah, well, I'm going to swing in this week.
We got everybody's questions because Rob was answering. Do you have Saltex reels in stock? By the way, Saltex, if you're if you're looking for a Van Stall type reel, let's talk Saltex when you come here. I know Rob just answered somebody and asked if we had them. We do have them.
Yeah, and if people have questions, look, you got their socials. You can reach out directly to Stefanos. You can reach out to me, and I'll connect you with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the shop.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, everyone. It's cold out there.
It's freezing.
But the tog are biting.
The tog eat. Listen, guys, the fish don't stop eating. You know that. We just don't want to deal with this.
Yeah. And we're going to have on next week, we're going to really dive into the freshwater, because one of the things is it's cold, and it's a whole different kind of cold when you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean in winter. Some of us need to get our fix, and you got to
get the good gear.
I know.
You got to get all the good stuff.
I was looking
Clothing
at that.
Matters, guys. Clothing matters.
It does, but you can also get that fix freshwater. So Matusin's going to come on. We're going to talk some winter trout fishing.
Yes.
And we're definitely going to dive into that. Of course, you guys know Chris Matusin. If you want to talk striped bass, he'll be game for that too. So That's next week. Then I don't know what we're going to do around the holidays.
I'm gonna get with him, and we're gonna go target some big trout with glide baits, because I know he's going to be into that.
Yeah, well, maybe he'll be calling you when he calls me next time he comes up.
He's gonna. Harry Neff, started SFO a long time ago. Greatest steward, Harry Neff. See, they know Harry. Yeah. Harry's the legend, y'all.
Yeah,
come on.
He is. All right, guys, everyone, get out there on the water this week. It's cold, but God, you got to do it, and let's talk about it next week when Chris is on. Until then, get out there, get on the water, and get some tight lines.